A young single mom or a divorced mother of two, who would be better on Casey's jury? Depends who you ask. And so Tony Pipitone did. Good evening, I'm Jacqueline London.
And I'm Mike Garofalo. The case against Casey is taking shape as we speak.
The mother charged with murder sat in court today and heard about her father's painful suicide note and watched as the crime scene investigator who inspected her car talked about what he found. It's all leading up to what may be the most crucial part of a criminal trial, choosing a jury. And tonight, Tony Pipitone looks at some of what will go into finding those 12 people.
From a pool of hundreds of names chosen randomly from driver's license records, 12 people will wind up here, sitting across from a young woman they've heard of, but have sworn have not assumed is guilty.
So obviously, everybody's going to have heard about this. And there may be some people that haven't. And frankly, as a prosecution, I'd be scared to death of those people.
We asked both that former prosecutor and defense attorney Cheney Mason what kind of person would make a good juror for the defense.
I would want jurors that understand enough about life to understand their frailties and weaknesses in life, have some empathy, some forgiveness, and that would not be young people.
And for the prosecution,
I want people that are able to focus and kind of see through those smoke screens and listen to what evidence is being presented and weigh it and see what's reasonable and what's unreasonable.
It's part legal art, but also part science, says jury consultant Susan Constantine.
A child disappears and the mother doesn't call the police for 30 days and makes up the name of a babysitter that she left her with and changes the story about where the baby was taken from her. Who's more apt to believe that kind of story or versus those who just would say this is ridiculous and this woman's lying?
The person that would say they're not guilty would be someone that's not as logical. They could say, well, I can visualize that happening, so therefore that would make sense to me, versus a logical person would say, well, wait a minute, that doesn't make sense to me.
But in a case where there are no fingerprints or confession, no DNA or eyewitnesses, extremely logical people might be a problem, especially if they watch a lot of this.
Whoever killed this poor kid knew what they were doing.
It's called the CSI effect, a tendency to acquit when the scientific evidence is anything less than ironclad, like it is on the TV show.
So you don't want a CSI viewer?
No. I ask the panel and I say, who watches it? Do you understand that that's not real?
Mason, though, might look differently on fans of the show.
There's an awful lot of CSI stuff that is true or partially true. And there's a lot of forensic evidence that doesn't hit most courtrooms because the lawyers don't know about it. They have so many things, it appears, that have been explored forensically that have been negative that tends to be beneficial for the defense.
When potential jurors are asked about the case, Constantine would be looking at, as much as listening to, their answers.
I am one that reads facial gestures. I'm one that reads body language. I can tell whether they're deceitful or whether they're telling a lie or whether they're stretching the story or they're fabricating or they're anxious or they're nervous or whatever. Their verbal and their nonverbal communication needs to be consistent.
So not every smile is a smile.
It's not always genuine.
Constantine says more than 2,500 factors can be evaluated in determining whether someone is going to be for the defense or for the prosecution. So one can't choose on demographics alone. But we threw out some possibilities.
29-year-old divorced mother of two on her own. Good for the defense, good for the prosecution.
Well, that one would be more for the prosecution.
Why?
Well, they tend to be more angry. To be honest with you, we have found that those that have been divorced, that have children, they tend to be a little bit more angry, and especially if they're single parents.
And if Casey Anthony is sitting in front of them accused of murdering a child, where's that anger going to go?
Towards her. Absolutely.
Mason would likely steer clear of a young mother as well.
I would not want this girl on my jury, because I'd be afraid she'd be trying to prove everybody how much better mother she is.
19-year-old single mother, high school dropout. Good for the defense, good for the prosecution.
Defense.
Why?
Well, because first of all, they don't have the education, the higher level of education. They tend to be what we call more egalitarian, and the statistics have proven that those type of individuals would generally have proven that they would vote more for the defense.
How about you, Elizabeth?
Probably not, because I want someone that understands there's some level of responsibility that goes with having a child.
How about a 35-year-old married white male professional, say an accountant, someone, an engineer, someone who's detail-oriented?
If there is any evidence that is subject to any form of scientific precision and it helps the defense, then I might want one of those. If it helps the prosecution, I want them to watch it on TV.
Of course, we're still at least 7 months from trial. We don't even know yet what all the evidence will be, or even if the jury will be from Orange County. But if you're wondering what your odds are of being one of the chosen 12 in Orange County, Jacqueline, is probably less than 1 in 60,000.
And that jury consultant mentioned using statistics in choosing a juror. Is it really that scientific?
Well, Susan Constantine gave me some studies, and they do show that how people answer certain questions can be a predictor of how they are likely to lean in a case. Cheney Mason, though, says he relies a lot on his instincts, his knowledge, and his experience.
Either way, 12 people's lives will change dramatically for at least a month.
Sure thing.
All right, Tony, thank you.
On his instincts, his knowledge, and his experience.
Either way, 12 people's lives will change dramatically for at least a month.
Sure thing.
All right, Tony, thank you.